I think Dom just said something, and then I think the lightning that I'm getting through my window here and the thunder just blasted him out. I don't. Can you hear that, Chris? Oh, that's pretty intense. This is going to be an awesome TAS Power Hour. It's going to be full of thunder and lightning. I'll let Dom actually say the Rocky part with Mick.
Eat some thunder.
Eat some thunder, baby. All right, guys, we are attempting to go live. We're trying to get Dom on now. He's having some internet connection issues. I think maybe he only paid half his bill this month. I don't know.
that sweet Canadian internet.
Yes, I guess so. All right, so cool. So as you guys are coming in, just go ahead and let us know that you can hear us, see us. If you can see myself or Dom or Chris, this is actually a little bit of a rough start here, Chris. I'm seeing Dom, but I don't know if anybody else can see myself, you or Dom. What are we looking like?
It looks like we are live. Ali says hi, Chris and Dom, and also hi, Scott. Washington Helps is helping us out. He says you are live, which is good to hear. So, guys, as we're getting ready, as everybody's coming in and joining us here today, let us know that you can see and hear us. Ali says, yes, sound is perfect. I love to hear that. Let us know that you can see us. And then also, if you guys aren't normally on with us, or even if you have been on with us before, let us know where you're tuning in from, because we always like to hear that as well. It looks like we got Daniel Tejada in the house, and he always brings some great questions with him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to say this week. I know Dom just dropped off, Scott, so I wanted to kind of turn it over to you as we get going here and see kind of what your updates were for this week. Has anything gone on outside of the two things that I know we're going to talk about that you wanted to share with everybody this week?
Oh, well, let's see here. Where should I start? Okay, so I wrote an email today. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to either read it, or if not, you should probably go read that. About frustration, Chris. All about frustration.
Well, I think you picked a good topic for today then.
Yes. So, okay, so what has happened? Well, this week has been pretty good. For the most part. I'm still here, I'm breathing, I'm living, and everything is cool there. On the other side of things, we've had some struggles with inventory. And we've been having some struggles here in the past, 2 weeks, because we've been out of stock for almost 4 weeks now. And I think the last we checked, and you'll probably give me an update and probably make me, like, my jaw drop even more. Since we've been out of stock, we've lost over $20-some thousand in sales on Amazon. So frustrated about that. So frustration, but also I always like to turn that into a positive and say it's part of the process. You know, it's funny, I was talking to my partner, our partner, this morning, and they were really upset and they were just frustrated. And I'm like, listen, it's part of the process. Reset, reboot, like restart. It's okay, you know? And it's true. Okay, because there are going to be ups and downs, and there are going to be these frustration things in your life and in business. So inventory is a big one, and I'm learning that right now again and again. Every time it happens, it never gets like, oh, I know how to handle this. It's kind of like you think you do, and then you go ahead and you try to fix it, and then something else comes at you. Like your supplier saying, yes, the freight forwarding company had received the items. They said you received the items, and you're like, no, I haven't. So I don't know who accepted them. So we're dealing with that. And then on a personal side of things, I'm dealing with a little bit with some home construction stuff that I'm dealing with a business that also reminds me of what it's not, or what it's not, how not to be a business, or how not to treat your customers, because we all want to be part of the process. We all want to understand what is happening. I don't care if the parts didn't come in. Let me know the parts didn't come in and you can't get here today. Just don't not show up, right? Hear that?
Do you have
the other thing is
outside your window with
I'm
like
sorry, someone just got mad at me for getting excited. So it's boring here, and I know, and I also, on a serious note, I do want to send my thoughts and prayers out to everyone that is experiencing the unfortunate weather in Texas. And I know you're in Texas. You're not experiencing what's happening 100%. You are experiencing rain, but not the flooding. But you almost did, because your last place that you were living, you were getting updates that it's pretty much underwater.
I have drone footage from one of my neighbors. They flew up in a drone, and yeah, they have those like swamp boats, you know, the ones that like float above the water with a big fan on the back. They had those staged right outside my neighborhood. So, you know, it was one of those things where, like, timing, I guess, is working in my favor there. We would have been underwater. And so I'm very glad that we moved 3 weeks ago. But at the same time, I'm kind of sad that I can't be there to help everybody that's going through that, because they are my friends and they are my neighbors. And that's great. And that being said, guys, if you are in Houston, College Station, where I am now, is dry. So you can come up here, hang out. There's plenty of places to be, plenty of places to stay. And our grocery stores finally have some food again, which is always a great place to start. So if you can make it up here, you're more than welcome. We'll throw together a TAS unofficial meetup at a coffee shop or something and just hang out and dry out a little bit. So let me know if you're headed up this way, and we'll see if we can make something happen there. But yeah, it's been an interesting week or so, because I know last week when we were on here is when we kind of heard that everything was going to go down, and it did over the weekend. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, fun. Yeah, but it's actually really it's a terrible situation. It is life. It is things that we're dealing with. There's things that we dealt with on 9/11, right? I mean, we will recover. We'll get past it. We'll kind of rally together. And I look at the same thing as far as, like, you know, Amazon business or business in general. Like, we're going to ride the storms. I'm having a major storm right now out my window. It's pouring. It is just letting go, and we're going to get through it, all right? So, I mean, I just want people to understand, like, there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be frustration, and you're going to deal with inventory issues. You're going to deal with freight forwarding issues. You're going to deal with your manufacturer saying one thing and them doing something else. It's going to happen. So I'm not here to kid you and say that it won't happen, but you are in control of, you know, helping that through, you know, just dealing with those situations and then learning through those situations. So really, I mean, Chris, I mean, honestly, like, that's pretty much what's been happening. I know it doesn't sound that great. On a positive note, TAS is rocking and rolling, and after our 400th episode had aired, I had mentioned it last Friday. Wow, that thunder's really booming now. It must be getting really excited for what I'm about to say. So yeah, I mean, I posted last Friday too, for everyone to kind of head over there, tell me your story since listening to the podcast, theamazingseller.com/story, and a lot of you already have, and it's been really awesome to kind of hear those stories, where you started, how the podcast has helped you. Hey, Nick Gamble, what's up? You know, so if you guys are interested in letting us know your story, head over to theamazingseller.com/story. Let us know your story, and in the next week, actually by this time next week, I'll have a winner. I'm going to pick 2 winners, 2 people, and we're going to randomly pick them, and then we're going to announce a winner. And what we're going to do is Chris and I are going to hop on. We're going to do a free 30-minute coaching call with those 2 individuals. So all you got to do to enter is go over there and tell me your story. That's it. It's free to enter. All right, just tell me your story. Yeah, so that's happening. That's pretty awesome. Podcast is going great. Great interviews this week. We had some really cool stuff. I shared a weird product that I found by actually going through buying a car, which was pretty fun. And I actually shot a video showing actually kind of like myself coming home after that experience and digging into some product research and stuff. So I've shared that. That's on the podcast as well. So yeah, workshop last night we did, Chris, was pretty awesome. Had a lot of people on, a lot of great questions, a lot of great interaction. So yeah, everything's been awesome. And I want to remind you guys, if you guys are here right now and you guys have any questions, let us know in the chat, in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them here. That's why we're here. That's why we show up on Fridays, to kind of give you guys the play-by-play of what's happening in our world, but then also help you with what's happening in your world. So that's what I got, Chris.
Awesome, man. And I know there was one update before we dive into some of those questions. There was one update, and Ali, I shouldn't be gone. I put Scott up on the big screen because he was talking. Let me know if you guys can't see or hear. I guess they wouldn't know if they can't see or hear me.
That's right.
So if all you guys see right now is Scott sipping coffee, let us know. But there was one thing that we wanted to cover, Scott, and it's kind of the big quote-unquote change of the week. It's something a little sexier than what happened last week. It looks like that if you are brand registered and you do have that enhanced brand content, that there's a chance that you're able to add video to those EBC or enhanced brand content pages now. It's something that rolled out over the last 2 days or so, and we kind of knew that it was coming. Amazon, you know, has kind of been hinting at it for a few weeks now. It's something that we kind of assumed would always come. So check out your enhanced brand content. See if you have the ability to add video now. Now, there are going to be some requirements for that video. Obviously, you can't talk about how awesome the product is, right? You can't say this is the best thing. The requirements for the video are very similar to the requirements for the listing. So You can't say, we're the exclusive seller, which you can't say in the listing anyway. You can't talk about your competitors' products or say stuff like, it's only sold by authorized resellers. Basically, they just want you to talk about the product the same way you would talk about the product in a product description. It looks like we just lost Scott. I don't know if his power went out or what happened. So, it's one of those things where if you have access to it, it's absolutely worth taking a look at. I'm a big fan of enhanced brand content, and if you are already using it and you can take a look at it and see if you have that video ability, I'm curious to see if you guys start to utilize that as well. Looks like Dom jumped on with us from his phone, even though we lost Scott. So I'm going to bring him on with me right now. Dom, were you able to see this week, did you see the update about adding video for enhanced brand content?
No, I didn't even, I saw the message, but I didn't touch it. No, didn't. That's cool. Yeah, I knew before you could do it if you were I can't even think now. I'm so frustrated with this internet. I've had to go on my iPad. But no, I didn't. I didn't see it. What was I going to say? Yeah, seller or vendor central. You had the option of putting video in all the time. But
hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, we can, and we can see you again. Ali and everybody else that's hanging out with us, let us know that you can see and hear Dom and Scott. They're both back with us on mobile, which is a lot of fun. Did your internet go out? What happened, Scott?
No, I lost power for a split second.
Oh, that's fun.
So I'm actually rebooting right now.
We joked a few weeks ago about getting battery backups because that happened right before we jumped on a workshop. I may have to send you one just to kind of fill in that gap there.
I'm on my
You see
iPad.
that?
Nice.
Yeah, it's coming down pretty good out there, man.
Pouring out there. You got hammered.
All right, we got a couple of questions coming in. Guys, if you have any other concerns, questions, you saw anything else this week that we missed, make sure you let us know in the comments. And if you have any questions, make sure that you ask them in there as well. Something that I know was going to come up this week, and I think I saw Brett talking about it already, was that he implemented the 250 character limit for his search terms in the back end, and it looks like Brett is struggling a little bit. He lost some of his search rankings. So Brett, the question that I have to ask you is, did you pull out all of the words or phrases that you lost ranking on, and are they the same thing? So like if you pulled out stainless steel garlic press, is that where you saw a decrease? Because as long as you're still selling for those terms, you should still rank the same. So I'm curious to see what happened there. I know we've started to do that in our brands, and I haven't noticed much of a difference. And I know there was a bunch of other people who already have started to do it that have seen a massive increase in sales because they're ranking for more things. But anytime you change those search terms or anytime you change that title, you can have a shift in rankings. And that's something that you need to keep in mind, especially now that Amazon has implemented that 250 character count limit. And we say characters meaning, letters and numbers in the typical English alphabet, right? So that's what we're talking about there when we say 250 characters. Ryan just wanted to let us know, he said, I don't have the video ability yet, but I am brand registered. Do you think this will come over time? So Ryan, something that I want to ask you is, are you brand registered under 2.0 or 1.0? I know if you had access to enhanced brand content, they've rolled it out on a limited basis, which means people in either version of brand registry, we're starting to see access to it. Not everybody does yet because it is in beta. So I'm curious to see which one you brand registered under. Everybody I've talked to that was brand registered under the new program has it. Some people that were brand registered under the old program have it. Ali says, I'm scared that I'll run out of inventory soon, and I already placed an order. But as Scott said in his email today, it's all part of the process. My product, I figured, is based on reviews, and the more good reviews I have, the more sales I will make. I have 13 5-star reviews, and I'm selling between 3 and 6 a day on average. I do all the follow-ups after someone purchases the product. I send an email once it's delivered, wishing them a happy purchase and asking them for a review. I do another one 10 days after being delivered. Is there anything else that I can do to increase my reviews? So first of all, Ali, reviews do not drive sales directly. They drive sales secondarily, right? They're going to help you with a conversion rate. They're not going to help you rank, and they're not going to help you get in front of people, but they're going to help you sell more once they're there. So make sure you keep that in mind. The second thing is, it sounds like you're doing everything right. You just need to increase that volume of sales, and you do that a couple different ways. You can do that through a product launch, through launching to your list, and we can get a lot of reviews from the people on our list because they love our products. And we don't even have to ask them. They will buy the product, they will use it, and they will give us their honest feedback on Amazon, which is always a lot of fun. But the other way that you can accelerate that is by ramping up PPC and increasing that sales volume. If you're getting a handful of reviews from that, then the more you sell, the more reviews you're going to get. Now, the other thing that I want to keep in mind is you may need to tweak the copy in those emails. And this is something you guys have heard us talk about. Our friend Bill. Scott just dropped off again. You guys have heard us talk about our friend Bill. He went through a couple different tests. I know our friend Danielle Fritz, who hangs out in here with us occasionally, has gone through a lot of testing in her copy, and she actually runs like seasonal campaigns and seasonal copy to talk about things that are going on, and that has massively increased her rate. So you may just need to change the copy in the follow-ups. It sounds like you're doing everything right, but you need to check the copy in those follow-ups, test something and see if it helps or if it hurts, and then you need to also increase the volume of sales that you're getting. Ryan says, I brand registered under 1.0. So Ryan, check it on a different ASIN and see if you have it. It hasn't rolled out to everybody yet, so I wouldn't expect to see it on everything, but keep an eye out there and continue to look. Guys, I'm going to try to bring Scott back on. Let me know when you can see and hear him. I can't see him, but it looks like he's back with us. John wanted to let us know I added a new product a month ago in toys. I started editing it. 2 weeks later, Amazon in Europe restricted it. I spent the last week trying to get answers from Amazon. As usual, hard to get a hold of the right person. Product is a pretty normal product, nothing unusual. Seller support is driving me crazy. So John, there's a couple different things, and Dom, I know you have some friends over there. When your listing gets suspended, is it, and this is a question I guess for you, John, is it restricted? Is the listing suspended? What's actually going on there? And what does Amazon need in order to change that? If your listing was suspended, there's a reason for it. All you have to do is address that. If the product is restricted, then they need additional documentation, usually, to allow that product to sell again. So we need a little bit of that clarification. Scott, are you back with us? I can't see you.
Yes, I am.
It also means I can't hear you. Dom, are you able to see and hear Scott?
Yeah, I see him. I hear him. Everything's good now.
Awesome.
But Chris can't hear me.
I'm going to hit refresh here.
Let's talk about Chris. Let's talk about Chris.
So much fun today.
What a mess today this is. Oh, now we lost Chris. Okay, how's it going, Scott? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know, right?
All right.
We back?
Okay.
Oh,
I can see you
back out too.
guys now.
Hilarious.
Cool. Allie says, yes, Scott is back. Cool.
What do you think, Scott and Dom, of products that trend for a while and drop? So are you a fan of going after products that are trending? Would you recommend people stay away from it? I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, and I'm kind of the opinion that as long as you know it's a trend and you're cool with that, that it may be worth looking into. But you need to be very well aware up front that it's a trend so that you can make an appropriate decision. I just wanted to get your opinion on that. Dom, I know you're a fan of trend stuff, and you go after trends knowing that they're trends. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, I go through. What we don't talk about too much is that because I already have other brands, big brands that I built. This is just kind of a, another account where I didn't want to do as much work, so I just kind of went with trends. But we also, I mean, Scott and Chris, you guys obviously know the products. We don't just go after one trend. We'll go after 4, 5, 6, 10 different trends. So if one dies off, the other always picked up. You're going to make $50,000 in 1 month, but now you're going to be stuck with all your stock for 7 years. So now, again, if you want to add that because you bought other stuff, it's good. Again, and when we do trends, it's always brand name trends. I didn't do, but they made it at $10, $12. Now they're at $1.99. Nobody's making any money. So, and then that's where your money is, right, guys? You got, if you got something that's trending really hot and you can build a lot of SKUs around it, then you've got success. And if that quiets down, then you go to another brand. But as far as picking something that's hot, like fidget spinners or like the clip sunglasses or the squishy Kiwani toys, you got to be careful. If we're going to get it sourced and bring it over here, it's dead. Or we've talked about it, or buddy Greg Mercer's talked about it, and then 100 people just jump on it. So you got to be careful a little bit to it. So there's a technique to it.
Yeah, and I the one thing I would say is, like, you're not necessarily, and I think what you're saying too, Dom, is that you're not necessarily going after the item that is the trend. You're going after maybe accessories that could be related to the trend.
Yeah, sorry. That's exactly. We're not making it a modification version of again, because we stick to brand name. We're not going to make a better, that company's already made as good as it can get. They'll upgrade it themselves. You're right.
Right. So it would be more like
accessories.
Accessories. Yeah, Dom is lagging, right?
Yeah, his internet's going in and out on his iPad. This is
Hey, Dom, next month you got to pay the entire bill, not just a quarter of it.
Nice. Well, I mean, you guys are, at least you're not actually dropping. I mean, I'm actually using my data right now, which I'm way over already. So I don't know. I got to figure something out. Again, I told you guys, the reason I haven't.
There it is, guys. There it is. We got like a quarter of the response, Dom. I got it. So I think what you were saying is you're using a lot of your data. You're already over your data, and you still got to figure something out because it's getting out of hand. But part of that data, I'm going to bet, is probably you looking at your pay-per-click. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the entire data bill. What are you talking about?
30 gig out the window.
30 gig.
All right. So, Chris, I mean, just to kind of address that and kind of put that to rest. Yes, that's why I've said, like, if you're watching an infomercial and they're pushing a product, it's not necessarily you're going to launch that product. You might launch products that surround that product, right? Or that, and if it's a fidget spinner, it might be a fidget spinner case, right? It might be something like that. It's not going to be the fidget spinner. All right. And I've said this before, Beachbody is a great brand as far as like, exercise stuff. And they have like all of this millions of dollars poured into this, this program. The other thing they have, if you guys, and I mentioned this, actually, I talked about this on an interview I did yesterday, where they're taking someone and making them the face of that program. So now Jillian Michaels, well, she's not Beachbody, but she's like Biggest Loser, right? So anything that she touches is connected to the Biggest Loser, which is also connected to Jillian Michaels. So if she comes out with a certain exercise, hand thing or whatever, right? People are going to buy it because she stamped her approval on it. So that's the power of influencers, number one. Number two is when you see this stuff, you can say, there's people that are going to be buying this. That's going to trend. What can I get into that can relate to that trend that isn't necessarily that product? Does that make sense, Chris?
It does.
Okay, cool.
And what you're really talking about there, Scott, is related stuff.
Yeah.
And that's easy to find, and that stuff tends to accelerate past the trend, right? Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot of people still buy Beanie Babies, but there's still a market for the Beanie Baby tag holders.
Yep.
Right. If you guys like the tag plastic things that went over, the little tie tags on the ears of the Beanie Babies, I bet those still sell, probably, and even Beanie Babies do, right? And so that lets you be able to capitalize on the trend without having to be the trend itself. So that's always very interesting. Yeah. Bo wanted to know, do you feel like a seller lockdown in Q4 is a guarantee in 2017? I'm just starting out and I don't want to rush the process, but hate the timing and losing out on a couple months. I think it was it the second week in October last year that they announced it?
Yeah, I believe it was.
It was like October 10th of last year that they announced it, and they gave everybody like 2 weeks to ship something in before they said you can't ship anything in. I'm not sure that it's a guarantee. I would say that it's pretty likely, just because there's more stuff than there was last year being sent into Amazon for Q4 this year. What I will say is the same exact thing that I said last night, which is there is no reason to rush the process just to get in for Q4. Q4, in my opinion, is garbage time, right? And you guys have heard me say this before. Garbage time, for those of you guys who aren't familiar, is like the end of a basketball game or the end of a football game. When you're winning by 50 points, you just put in the guys that are on the third string and they go do whatever they want, right? You don't really have to play the game anymore because you're going to win anyway. In Q4, that's kind of what sales are like. You get an extra bump in sales. If your entire business is dependent on Q4 sales, you have an issue somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, Chris froze up on me.
Nice. Just me and you again. What is going? This be live. It's great.
Oh, there you go. Now he's back. He just caught up.
That's funny. I was just dropping gold nuggets.
I know everywhere. You were. I know you were.
The answer is you don't need to worry too much about it. If you can't get stuff in time, don't force a product in just to get something in. You can sell it in January the same way that you can sell it in December. You're just not going to get the.
Oh. And we'll be back next week with the answer to that little tidbit. All right.
Continued. I feel like it's a Happy Days episode. to be continued every week.
Can we, you guys let me know if you can hear myself or Dom, and if you guys can still hear us. I mean, we're having a little bit of some issues today with BeLive, and I'm sure Chris is going to be popping out and popping back in again. So we'll see. And here he comes now. There he is. Wow, this is really good.
Between you losing power, Dom having internet problems, and just the power of the internet in general, it's been an interesting day. Everyone says, "Hey, y'all."
Hey,
Brett said, "What I did was I did 50 characters per line and did keyword space with those same words. Remove the duplicate word."
Here we go again. Oh, Chris. All right. All right. I'll read it. So what I did was I did 50 characters per line and did keyword space with those same words and removed duplicate keywords and removed the commas between search terms. All right. So it sounds like that's what you did. I'm wondering what the result was, and maybe Chris was already asking about this. This is why Brett's coming back in to give us that information. So Monty says, "I love the way it freezes his face." We're going to have to get a whole bunch of screenshots of all of our faces when it locks up or something, and we can just put that on as like a little funny segment.
I hate editing videos of me, because no matter where I stop it, I'm making that exact face.
It's every time. It's a good face.
You can accelerate one frame, but no matter when I stop it, it makes that exact face. Yeah, and Scott, what Brett was talking about before was just he made the change to the 250 characters, and you saw some rankings drop. And what I said before is anytime you make a change like that to your backend search terms, you can see a rankings drop. So play with it and see if you can get that back. What I would do, I don't see any reason to divide it up over 5 lines. Use one line, 250 characters, and do it that way. If you want to use commas, you can use commas, but there's no reason to, according to Amazon. If you put them in and you see that they help you, then let us know that. But what we kind of rattled off last week was just the general advice that Amazon is giving everybody. So let us know what that does for you when you make some of those tests and tweaks, and we're curious to see how that works for you versus how that works for us and for some of the other people in the TAS community. You know, Scott, did you have any other things that you wanted to talk about with that 250 character change last week? Brett said he dropped from page 1 to page 3, which you can kind of expect when you make a change like that.
Here's the deal, though. You got to understand is like that, like you just said, Chris. It's like when you make a change, it generally is going to adjust. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to stay there. It just means that you're getting settled back into the algorithm and they're readjusting things now. So my thing is, and I had someone ask this the other day. They're like, you know, what do I put in the back end? And, you know, like now that I'm limited to how many characters I put in, really, honestly, the main keywords that you want to rank for should probably be in your title anyway. Okay, so I mean, again, guys, we love to hear about all of these things that, you know, oh, now what do we do? You know, they changed this thing. Like those are like miscellaneous keywords that you'd like to rank for, that you maybe are ranking for. But if they're that important to you, they need to be in the title, right? And then the most important ones need to be in the back end, right? Like, so you need to think about it like that. Like there's probably only going to be 5 or 10 keywords that are going to be those gold keywords that are going to bring you most of your traffic. The other ones are what we call long tail. It's where, you know, you're going to get some traction a little bit here and there, and you're going to get a few extra sales, and then maybe over time, a bunch of these will collectively give you additional sales. But you really only have a handful. You know what I mean? Like, how many different ways can you talk about a stainless steel garlic press, right? It's like, that's what it is, right? So if I'm looking for a stainless steel garlic press, that's what I'm looking for. Unless I'm looking for a certain brand, it's going to be that certain brand, right? Or if there's a certain type of device, like right now I'm looking for this handheld video thing, right? This camera, so I can kind of do, it's like a vlogging kind of like hand holder. It's not a selfie stick. It's a little nicer than that. It's about a $300 thing.
You want the Swerve?
No, that's the Schmoove, by the way. The Schmoove. But no, it's not the Schmoove, but it's very similar. But if I was looking for the Schmoove, I would go to Amazon and type in Schmoove because that's what it is, right? That's what I'm looking for. Or I'd look for vlogging, you know, selfie stick, or you know, maybe I would search for cell phone, handheld, whatever, camera, tripod, or whatever, right? Like, it's exactly what I am looking for. How many other ways are you going to describe that, right? Unless you're trying to find traffic over here that kind of relates. And if someone gets it, they might be like, that's not exactly what I'm looking for, right? Well, I'll give you an example. I just pulled this up because it's a new, the Wacom. I'm not even sure how you pronounce it. Is that how you pronounce it, Chris? The Wacom? Wacom. So it's a wireless accessory kit. Okay, so this is to make my Wacom or whatever the heck it's called.
Be more from New York right now.
It's basically created to make my device wireless, right? So here's a nice little package. If I'm searching for this, I'm going to search for exactly that. That's my keywords, right? I'm not going to look for just a wireless kit. It's to be a wireless kit for something specific, okay? So that's what you need to understand. You know, so many people want to be like, well, I had 5,000 characters. Now what's going to happen to my ranking? It's probably not going to make that big of a deal, to be honest with you. So I would go, and I would love for Sean, if he was on, Sean to basically let us know what's happened since he's made that adjustment last week. We haven't really played around with it, to be honest with you. And it was funny because, Chris, I went to a couple of my listings just 3 days ago, and I looked, and I think we only filled out the first line anyway. You know what I mean? I didn't even
and that was one of the things that we consciously talked about.
Right.
With those is we put in things and we did not duplicate keywords, and so we couldn't even get to 2,500 characters or whatever it was. I don't remember how many characters it was. It was 5 whatever it was, right? Mm-hmm. We could barely fill out one line of 1,000 characters, much less the other 4 lines. And so when we drop it to 250, we're probably going to have to remove some of the other ways that we described it. But if they're important to us, they should be in the title. We should be running PPC on them. Mm-hmm. It's really not made a big change. Daniel Tejada said the update hasn't impacted our sales at all yet. So Daniel, I'm curious to ask if you've updated your keywords, your search terms, or if you just kind of left them the same, because we were debating last week whether or not Amazon was just going to not index you for those search terms if you were over the limit, because they didn't really clarify that for us. So I'm curious to see what happened. Ryan says, I have a quick question. Do you think it's a good idea to run a lightning deals to boost rank? I have a product up for a year now with good sales, but I'm curious if running a lightning deal helps with rank. The answer is sales help with rank. Lightning deals can help with sales. Mm-hmm. Can being the key word there. You have to have a good time slot, and it has to be a good deal. If you offer up a mediocre deal or they put you up at 4 a.m., you're probably not going to see a big boost from that. If you clear through your inventory, if you pull what I'm affectionately calling a Nick Gamble, and you just cannot keep it in stock anytime that you run a lightning deal, then it's going to boost your sales, and it's certainly going to boost your rank over the next few weeks. But anytime you can get a boost in sales from anything, whether it's a lightning deal, whether it's launching to an email list, any of those kinds of things, you're going to see a boost in rank. But it's not going to happen immediately. We typically see, Scott, it takes about 5 to 7 days to really kind of settle out. And Dom, I think you kind of feel the same way too. When you launch a product, it takes like 5 to 7 or 10 days before you really kind of get to that final resting place where you're not moving all the time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Papar, wow, this is a name. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that because I'm going to butcher it 7 ways from Sunday. I was playing with PPC, moving keywords from broad to phrase and exact. However, my conclusion is that every time I made a change, sales were affected adversely. I'm inclined to say don't touch your campaign if it's working. If it's working for you, then you don't need to make changes. You shouldn't be moving keywords. You should be moving search terms. So double check that, because the search terms are the things that are actually clicking on. If I move a keyword that is performing to exact or to phrase, I'm cutting the knees out of those search terms. So make sure that you're looking in the correct place. So if my keyword for a PPC campaign is garlic press, and I look in my stats dashboard in Amazon's PPC dashboard, and I see that garlic press is performing really well, I don't want to move garlic press to phrase or exact, because Amazon in that dashboard doesn't show me what people are actually typing in. What people are actually typing in might be stainless steel garlic press. Right. The only way that I can know that is by looking at the search terms report. It's a stupid distinction in terms of terminology, but it makes all the difference when you're refining those things. Daniel said, we updated our products where I saw drops in PPC, and the effect was absolutely minimal. So it sounds like Daniel it worked out for him with that change. I know we're going to be making all those changes and kind of addressing the rest of the products in the new brand this week, assuming we ever get stuff back in stock. Right now, I'm not worried about it until we actually have product in hand. So Scott, kind of going back to that earlier, you said our partner in that brand was potentially going to go pick them up.
That was a joke.
Is that actually happening?
Oh, okay. No. That was a frustration joke. No. But it's just it's pretty crazy because again, whenever you're dealing with a manufacturer, you're using their shipper or their freight forwarder, you're kind of trusting in that. And this is one that they haven't really used all that much. So now we're figuring out that there's some kinks in that system. So yeah, it's really disappointing and frustrating, but in the same breath, part of the process. We'll get through it. Dom, I'm sure you've been through that. What about inventory with you? What about like an inventory load you're expecting to come, you're out of inventory, you're losing sales every single day. How's that feel, and what do you do about it?
Even now, 4 years into this, we're still issues. You can never predict it, to tell you the truth. We try to get on a rotation where anything less than 800 units, we try to reorder it, but sometimes manufacturing, stuff in the, it could be anything could stop it. It's always a drawback. So you have such your biggest fear. It's the worst thing to do to run out of inventory. If you're out for like a week or so or two, it's not too bad, especially if you can source in the US. Yeah. But to be out 4, 5, 6 months, and we've got a couple products that were out at Christmas. We finally got them back in, and I mean, the dynamics of Amazon have changed so much. Not just the price point, the competitors, the need for the product. It's basically we're fighting almost a losing battle, but we won't give up. I know our good buddy Bill's. He might go through the same thing too with one of his products if he runs out, and now it's going to take time. That's going to be even harder because it's a really competitive market. So, yeah, we take it with a grain of salt, and if you just continue it, you just keep losing SKUs, right? So, you don't want to keep doing that. Okay, it ran out. It's too late now. Forget about it. Maybe 1 or 2, but eventually after a year or 2 years, you've lost like 8, 9 SKUs because of that. So we try to be on it. We have a system in place. I do have a.
You have slow motion is what you have.
You have a crazy.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
So we've got a portal that all our manufacturers go in, and they can see our inventory. So they kind of have access to our Amazon inventory, and they know each company I've set a lowest minimum. Once it hits here, reorder it, send us the AliExpress invoice, we'll pay for it, and that's it. Seamless. So, but again, there's stuff like we tried shipping to California, so it goes direct to Amazon. Freight forwarding issues. So now we're just gonna, you never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, you never want to try to inventory. But again, because we've got so many other products, it's not that big of a deterrent. You know what I'm saying? With you guys are starting off a brand, and if you keep running out, it's just like, oh my gosh, and you see that 27,000, 30,000. Again, it's the same thing. That one item in the open brand just keeps selling out. I order 1,000, it's gone within a week and a half, and poor the shark. He's getting boxes of stuff. He just can't process it fast enough. So, hopefully that dilemma is going to be solved pretty soon because we're going to source it overseas, and But again, we're going to have to wait until that comes in, and it's the same thing. My biggest thing now is that
lost him.
Can you still hear me? Am I back?
Now I can. Yep.
Right. So what I was saying is that, like, even with you guys keep releasing your 8, 10, 12 product, but every time, it's a good idea, you launch it, you put in different variations. By the time you get it, the dynamics of that product has changed, right? I remember there's one product you said, well, everyone's selling branch, should we sell it? And I said, yeah, it's good to have it. People will just add it on. It'll just give you an extra $3-4 each sale type of thing. But by the time now, it might not even be worth sourcing those because there's so many people. It went from $15 to $8.99 now. So, is it even worth sourcing it?
Yeah. I mean, we have so many other products in the pipeline that we could do that aren't as, like aggressive like that. So that's what I think we're doing. And we're also finding that out of those, 8 or 9 SKUs now, there's a couple of them we're probably going to discontinue, to be honest with you. Because they're just not, they were like entry points, and we're finding that we'd rather take our capital and invest it in the winners and just cut off the losers. I mean, we'll still get rid of them, but we're going to just basically recoup our money and then start dumping that back into inventory that we know that will sell.
Yeah, depends how bad of a dog it is, right? I mean, if you're still selling 2, 3 a day, I wouldn't get rid of it. But if you're going to sell 3 a week, forget it. It's not exactly. Why go through the effort, use your bandwidth to order this stuff, to especially when you've got 8 other products you can pump your capital into instead of the bottom 3.
And that's what it comes down to, is really figuring out how to take your cash flow and put it into what products. Because, I mean, I know there was some discussion in the class this week about borrowing money that Amazon is willing to lend us for, 6.9% or whatever. And that sounds awesome and everything, but then all of a sudden you're financing all of your inventory. And I'm not like against it, but there's got to be a line. You got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that. I don't know. I mean, I've had that discussion with my team before, and not as
lost them.
That's a fine point when you're growing your business, where it is hard to come by because you've got so many ASINs coming now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have the dilemma all the time, especially for Christmas. It's always the craziest thing. I mean, I used to have an events company, and we literally have to put out $50,000 to $80,000 worth of fees for events, and we didn't make $1 until the event started. So what do? You got to put the money out if you want to make money later on. So,
right.
It's the same thing. Like Christmas, we're putting all this money times, all these ASINs. So we're particular now a little bit than we were 2-3 years ago. Now we're like, let's order light. It doesn't sell through. Let's order after Christmas, and just this money, especially when you're selling through fast. You want to release new products, but you need money to buy more of the original.
Right.
So I don't, in the long run, it's good.
The connection is poor. We're only getting little bits and pieces of what you're saying. But I think what you're saying is it just depends on the amount of inventory that you're selling through, and you have to almost pre-plan that and take your capital. Instead of investing in 1,000 units that's going to take you a year to sell, that's money that's tied up that you could be pushing into other products.
Yeah, but as you're growing,
your body language is telling me that you're really making a valid point, but I can't hear you. So I'm going to say that we're going to go with it was a really good excitement in your body language, and I think that everyone should take that body language and run with that.
Let's jump in and answer a few questions here.
Let's do that
for today. Chris Maddox says, our sales were stopped for a few days. I noticed some products were not indexed because the keywords were over that 250 limit. Went in, put 250 characters of our best ranking keywords in line 1. A day after we did this, we went back to selling 3 to 5 a day on a product we just launched last month. Noticed our impressions were way down until we fixed the back end, right? So it does sound like he had an issue where they were doing that. And my suggestion on that is just do it as soon as you can.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stress about it. If you see a change in sales, then that's when I would do that, or just as you kind of get to it, right? Spend some time today, tomorrow, Sunday. Hey, guess what? Monday's a holiday if you're in the US. Take some time on Monday, take 10 minutes and kind of rework that and then upload them.
Sure.
Richard says, I have a question. I'm a newbie looking to sell a product, and I see it sold by Amazon and fulfilled by Amazon. There are 2 sellers on Jungle Scout for the keyword for that item. Should I look for a different item to sell? So, Scott, if there's only 2 people selling the product and one of them is Amazon, is that a product that you would continue to dive a little bit deeper on?
Yeah, I would dive deeper, and Dom's giving us the thumbs up. But, yeah, I would do that. But I would also be doing a little bit more digging on – we just talked about the back-end keywords, but kind of in the back end where I would be looking at Google Trends. I'd be looking at keyword searches in Google. I'd be looking at that stuff to let me know that there's a market or a trend coming. Because if we just go in there and we say, okay, there's 2 people right now selling, one of them being Amazon, and they're selling 1,000 units a month. That's 500 a piece. That's the volume that's there right now. So now what I have to decide is if I come in there and I'm third, am I going to be able to grab some of those sales? And if I am, then that means we're going to split 1,000 sales. What I need to know is I need to know if people are buying because of the brand. So is it brand driven or is it Amazon driven? For the most part, if it's brand driven, that would make me more nervous than if it was Amazon driven. Because brand driven means that they have a powerful brand, maybe a loyal following that only going to buy their product because it's name brand and they're going to support the brand. If it's Amazon, it's just Amazon. So I wouldn't necessarily say I wouldn't sell it. I would definitely look at that as an opportunity. And that actually happened with one of our products. And we didn't have a lot of depth, but we knew that it was something coming and we knew that there was going to be a need for it. We took a little bit of a gamble. It worked out. But we also knew that the market that we're going into is up and coming. It's not just something that's going to kind of come here and go. And it's not a fidget spinner. And it's not something that's a trend like that. It's more of a slower, steady growth of a trend. So I would be careful, but I would do the back check, kind of like the research as far as like just looking at the market, Google Trends, stuff like that, to see if there's something that I'm not aware of, just to kind of cover the bases.
Yeah, and you typically see that a market is validated when you see those 5 to 10 sellers. Now, you can launch with fewer sellers than that in the market, as long as it kind of checks those other boxes. You just have to do a little bit more digging, like Scott was saying. Both are being sold by Amazon. Again, that still wouldn't necessarily deter me.
No.
But you're going to need to do some of that additional research. I have a question here, Scott. I stopped my PPC campaign to give myself a little bit of a pocket break. Sales went down below the level they were before I started my campaign. I was selling 10 a day. I started PPC and sold 20 a day. I stopped my PPC, and now I'm selling 3 a day. What's the logic on this? It sounds like I'm being penalized for stopping my spending. You're not being penalized for stopping your spending. Sales happen in different velocities and different volumes all the time. What I would say is, how many of those 20 sales a day were coming from PPC? You can track that. So if you started to see those sales increase towards PPC, then when you turn that off, you're going to have a bigger decrease. Does that make sense, Scott? So if you started out and it was 10 and 10, but then last week before you turned off PPC, it was 15 for PPC and 5 for organic, you have a ranking problem. And you need to adjust those back-end keywords, and then by turning off PPC, you just weren't showing up anymore. That can cause that issue as well.
He's probably not ranking organically high enough too, right? He's relying on PPC to make his sales. He's probably not on the first page. I mean, that's the big issue. I mean, we don't know where he ranks, but if you could tell us that, then that would help a bit. But, that's the problem with, if you're not ranking on the first page, or, at the best of fold or the first page, it's going to be tough. You have to rely on PPC. It's your life jacket on Amazon. I don't know if you got any of that, because I look like I'm talking, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I got you.
That was got the whole thing that time.
Right. So, I mean, PPC is your life jacket, basically. That's the way we look at it, because if you're not, until you can get to the first page, and maybe top a second page, it's going to be tough for you to get any organic sales.
Ali said, I have the opposite problem. I stopped PPC 6 days ago, and my sales increased. Again, your volume is going to change. Take a look at Google Trends. Take a look at all those kinds of things. If every time you turn PPC off, you see your sales go up, then you have an issue on the PPC side of things. Right? One of the things that you guys hear us talk about a lot is your conversion rate. If you're driving a lot of unqualified traffic to your listing, even with PPC, that can hurt your ranking. And that can hurt then your overall organic placement and all of those kinds of things. So double check that. But again, your volume, you can't necessarily correlate those things one-to-one over a few days, especially when you have something like a holiday weekend. In the US, some products are going to do really well over the next 3 days, and some products are going to sell absolutely nothing over the next few days, right? Until people kind of get back to work on Tuesday, and instead of doing their jobs at work, they buy stuff on Amazon, which is exactly what's going to happen on Tuesday. George wants to know, how do you get videos embedded in the enhanced brand content section? George, if you have that ability, you can actually upload a video directly inside of the enhanced brand content. Seller Labs actually has an excellent guide they put together on all of that stuff. Basically, it just gives you that as an option when you're creating or editing the enhanced brand content, if that was rolled out to you. Marco wants to know, he says, hi guys, I'm from Italy. I wanted to ask how I know when I am ranking organically. Marco, the easy way is just to type in your keywords, right?
Yeah.
And see where you show up. There's other tools out there. Scott, what's the tool that you use for that?
I'm using Splitly for that.
Oh, so it's okay. It is Splitly that does that.
Yep.
And there's a handful of other ones that will work for that, or you can just do it manually, right? So you can type in garlic press and then scroll down and find your product. Ali said, I checked Google Trends and it showed me that my product should do good for Q4. So Ali, you may just be seeing a bump from that. If you turn PPC back on, you may see an even bigger bump. But again, you're not necessarily going to be able to correlate that one-to-one. All right, Scott, we got a few minutes left here. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we did a little bit of rapid fire? And guys, if you have any questions, drop them in now so that we can get to them before we have to jump off and let you guys get on with the rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, no, I think we're good. I mean, like I said, I mean, the big news this week was really the keyword change, and then also the beta video embed, which is going to be pretty cool, and we'll see how that all works. But I think those are the big things. I think Chris, you told me either it was yesterday or today. Is it officially fourth quarter?
No, the fourth quarter starts October 1st.
Okay, October 1st. Okay.
But this is the end of the third quarter. Right.
Gotcha. So end of third quarter. We're in the end of third quarter. I was thinking the other night when you said that, I thought that was kind of soon. But we are approaching very quickly. Okay, so October 1st will be here before you know it. Okay?
We're in the third.
Yeah, we are. So, and then someone had asked, like, you know, will they lock us out if we're a new seller and we won't be able to send an inventory? They probably will at some point, but here's the deal. And this was like the little trick last year. Ship something in right now. Do some retail arbitrage. Yeah. Go find a product, send it in. Now you have an account that's active, and now you can send product in.
Yeah, that's a good one, Scott. That's a good idea.
So, you know, like if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't know if I'm gonna have my product ready. I don't know. Just go to Target or whatever, find a product that is on discount, and then send it in. And now you've basically established that you have.
You don't even have to.
Active.
Just go to your video game. Just grab some of your Wii games or PS3 games. Send a couple in, and you're done. I mean, as long as you get something in.
Yep.
Then your account will be started. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah. And I would also say to people too, like right now, if you're still on the fence and you're saying to yourself, like, I want to get started, but private labeling, am I too late to the game for fourth quarter? And the answer is maybe, but there's still a chance. But here's what I would do. So this way here, you're not waiting. Okay, I would do my research. I would get ready to launch. I would do all the stuff that we talk about. The workshop we did last night. Actually, Chris, if you might want to pop the link in there for the replay because that's still up, and they can go watch that if you have not watched the 5 phases. It basically gives you the entire roadmap. But what I would do just to get started, get my feet wet, start bringing in some capital, I would actually do retail arbitrage for fourth quarter, and you still have time to do that. We actually have a course that actually Dom teaches, 1K Fast Track. I would go there. I would invest in that. And again, yes, we are the creators of it. It's so inexpensive. And in the first week, it is designed to get you your investment back and then some. All right, we have a 7-day challenge that is in there, and most people that are going through the 7-day challenge are getting back all of their investment and then some, and they're now ready to start sourcing and launching their own retail art products for fourth quarter. So 1kfasttrack.com, go check that out. Dom is in there regularly. You get to basically look kind of behind the curtain as to what it takes to run a retail art business. Dom has been doing it for over 15 plus years. He is actually leading you through that. There's all the training in there. So I would definitely go check that out. 1kfasttrack.com. It's a great resource, a great little course that we created that actually walked you through. A great community there too. A lot of people doing it, and you can learn a ton from that. So that's a great place to start. And again, I wouldn't just wait. Like, I would be doing stuff. I would be figuring out maybe a product list. I would do my touch list. I would go and start digging. I would start understanding the process. And like I said, the best way to get started is to just get started. And that could be sending in your own retail art product or getting your first private label product ready to go and getting that sent in. Like, that's how you're going to learn the most, is by doing, not just by sitting here consuming. So that's my little get started rant. So Chris, why don't we answer a few questions?
Ali said, #action taken. I wanted to thank you guys for the t-shirt, and I wanted to share with the group that I passed 3,000 USD in sales. I've only been on the market 6 weeks. Thanks, Scott, Chris, and Dom. Sweet. Ali, you always bring a ton of value. You ask great questions, and I'm glad to see that you're launched now and that you're absolutely going to be successful here. Carl wants to know, on Giveaway Boost, I imported a list of 200 people from the first day and tried to integrate it with MailChimp to build a follow-up sequence. How does the API work there? You have to actually set that up inside of the Giveaway Boost giveaway, Carl. If you have any specific questions on that, send an email to hello@giveawayboost.com, and they'll be able to walk you through that exact process. I can't really talk you through it. You have to either see it or have them give you the instructions for it.
Maybe we should ask Dom how the API connects to MailChimp. I think he knows. He's had experience with the API.
Yes, the API is an integral part of the systematic placement of the algorithm of towards the economical stature of the power coming through the internet. So once that is connected, you'll definitely see a fourth worth application of I have no idea.
Okay.
None of those words made sense individually or together.
I did want to give a little bit of an update here though on Giveaway Boost really quickly. My daughter, my 22-year-old, just texted me this morning. She's starting another little side business. She's a lot like I am, and she just goes out there and goes after the things that she wants. Still doing retail arbitrage part-time. Her husband, her now husband, is actually heading out on a 30-day little leave right now. So she's going to be, kind of like figuring things out on her own here for the next 30 days. But she's doing really stuff that I've done in the past, really to find a market, to serve a market, and she's really doing awesome at it. But she wants to build an email list in that space. She took Giveaway Boost. She took a great giveaway, and it's been less than, she only ran it for 2 weeks, but she's only been running it for a week and a half. She's up over 815 emails. Her open rate is over 65%. Her click-through rate is like 12%. It's insane. And again, I didn't even help her through this. People would say, yeah, Scott, but you showed her how. No, I said to her, I go, here is the plugin. Here is the training that Chris created. Go through it. And she did it. You know, I had a little conversation with her this morning. She's an action taker. I'm so proud of her, and I know she's going to be successful at anything she does. And the other thing I want to say, and I said this to my buddy Jimmy, who was here, spent the week with us last week, and we had great conversations. But I said, listen, when you learn how to do a skill like building your own email list, you can take that anywhere you go. Just like Dom knows retail, ARB, inside and out. He has that skill set that he'll have, and he can take that to his next business venture. So understand, you're building assets and skill sets that you can take to whatever business venture you go to next. Because there will be other ones that are going to pop up, because once you get the entrepreneurial bug, it's kind of contagious and it's addicting, to be quite honest with you.
Ali wants to know, what's Giveaway Boost? I can't tell, Ali, if you're being sarcastic or if you're being serious, but I'm going to answer the question for you anyway, because there's a bunch of people on here with us that may or may not have heard of it. Giveaway Boost is the little plugin that we use to run our giveaways. If you guys aren't familiar with how or why we do that, I would highly suggest checking out the entire workshop that Scott and I did built around that at theamazingseller.com/build list. That's the strategy that we're using to build those email lists that we're using to launch the products in the new brand and in the other brands that we work on. And in the future, we're going to be using those to continue to build those brands. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check that out now if you're getting close to that launch phase, or if you've already launched and you want to have that as an asset. It's something that I would highly recommend. Carl says, sorry to sidebar your conversation. No problem at all, Carl. Scott, I think we're winding it down here.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to leave everybody with today, other than to let them know that you are an action taker in that sweet t-shirt that you're rocking?
That is nice, right? I want to ask Dom first. Dom, why don't you give us your, I guess, weekly update as far as with 1K Fast Track people in there, and then just maybe wrap things up on your end, and then I can go ahead and we can close this thing out.
Yeah, everything's going good in there. You know, guys are sending more stuff in because they know fourth quarter's coming. You know, helping out a couple of guys. A few Canadian guys are wondering how to get their stuff over. My good buddy Ray Bon. I don't think Ray Bon is his last name, but he's basically, you know, he's cleaning out his house. He said he found a bunch of sealed stuff in his basement, toys and stuff like that. So he's all excited and doing a few yard sales and garage sales here and there as he works full time. And it actually turns out that he works for a media company that sells software and movies and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
I said, what? I said, why don't you just buy the stuff from there? And he goes, oh, I don't know if they'll sell it to me. I said, well, they might not sell it to you, but I'm sure there's somebody else that you know that they could sell it to. Not meaning myself, but somebody else you could, you know, liquidate the stock. So he's hopefully will take advantage of that. So we're just helping them they're having, you know, a little bit issues about how to get it across. And again, this is going to be something in the future we're talking about. We do have a partnership that I work with here in Canada that might be, you know, I've talked to you off air about it, that help simplify getting stuff from the U.S. to Canada, and they make it pretty easy for everybody. So that's one thing. Mike Curry's still in there, chugging away, you know, pushing as much products as you can. Our good buddy Josh, he's still at work boxing stuff up and putting pictures online. First of all, I can't believe he can do that and take time to put it on Facebook. So, you know, oh man. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's some pretty good stuff. Again, a little bit of stuff. People getting, you know, issues with how to use the scale and, you know, the waste up. That's just a learning process, right, Scott and Chris? You know, they put it on and they charge like $3.99 for shipping, and then it actually costs $6.99. So you kind of get used to that, and you try to use as many the discounts as you can. PayPal shipping /stamps.com, use theirs, and definitely get you know, Cavala. They finally got a scale, so they're excited about that. So they can figure out the exact weight of stuff. So yeah, as you get going, you're gonna get all these tools and all these, you know, all the stuff that you need to to do it right. But yeah, it's going good. Guys are rating, and I think a couple of guys are already talking about maybe should I start doing some private label now that I've already been doing this for a month, 2 months. So because they built some capital up, and that's good. I mean, like just like your daughter, you said, you know, she's on their way. Her and her husband, they've got hundreds of ASINs and SKUs in on there. They're doing private label already, so that's good. And you know, again, it's nothing I'm going to really talk about, but you know, we're off air. You sent me some information, and that kind of set my tone. You know, I wasn't going to come on here with a negative attitude because of some other stuff that's happening in the background. Again, nobody knows what we're talking about, but you knew Chris and Scott, and I. You know, it's you know, a little bit deterrent for me, upsetting a little bit, but I won't let it get me down. But we try to help people, and hopefully they'll use it to their advantage, and you know, better themselves, and not you know, how do I say it? You know, being in front of a fountain or use it, you know, to their advantage. And
well, you know,
anyways,
and it's kind of like, speaking of my daughter now,
Nice.
I'm gonna have to call her back. But you know, just to kind of let people know, and it's like, and that's, you know, that's just the way it goes. Like, we can sit here and share our resources and let people in, but you know, at that point, you are exposing yourself, and when you expose yourself, you tend to get people that are going to mistreat you or mistreat the information, or even just use it for not good. Like, we can teach you guys how to find an audience, how to serve an audience, how to get them to open your emails, but people can use that information for evil too, right? So there's things that we have to understand, that there are people that aren't going to use our information the way that we want them to. But it's just the nature of the beast. And you know, for you, you're kind of new to this whole, like, let me share my expertise and let people they're all going to be great people. They're all going to use my information and be awesome with it and not use it for evil. Again, I don't want to go too much into that, just because it's not going to benefit anyone on the call now, really, other than just letting people know that, you know, you are going to have hiccups no matter if you're teaching people certain things, or if you're sharing your information, or if you are out there building a business. You are going to have ups and downs, and you know what? You know, Dom had a little bit of a I don't even want to call it a down, just a little bit of a head. Yeah, shaker. Well, you know, just a little bit of a head shaker.
Because I'm not used to it. It was hard to digest, and I only had like 5 seconds to digest it because we had to come on I hadn't been on my Skype for the day, and so I kind of still. I mean, I don't know. It kind of frustrated me. I'm still frustrated a little bit, but I didn't want to come out here, you know, and do that. Actually, thank God that the internet kind of didn't work, because that kind of changed my focus on here. So, you know, that was a good thing. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, because it's happened to you many times, and you know, I could vouch for that. It just, when it happens to you, you're kind of like, I mean, it's not just me, it's us, right? You know, it's whatever. You can't do nothing about it. You kind of move on. You try to be good about it, and you know, I know
all we can do is pick yourself up, pick each other up, and no matter what. Like right now, we're having to deal with this thing, you know, with my partner. Like, you know, they're down a little bit about this, and I'm like, listen, let's go, let's rally together. We're gonna get this thing. Like, we're gonna get this thing, and it doesn't matter. And we're just here to help people and serve people, and that's really what our main mission is. So we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. So let's wrap this up. We're going over a little bit, but I want to wrap this up. I want to give everyone just one more little note, I guess, as far as kind of going back to what I started with, and that is, you know, this business, any business, is going to have its ups and downs. It's going to have its frustrations. Okay, so no matter what you do, you are going to you're going to have to deal with these things, and that's fine. But just understand it's part of the process. And you know what? Learn to enjoy it, because, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but I said this last night, I like to almost treat it as like I'm gamifying business, right? I'm figuring out a way to make it feel as though we're playing a game. Look at Ohio State last night, Chris. First half, they were losing, man. They weren't doing good. And then guess what?
That's my favorite kind of Ohio State, Scott.
They readjusted. They readjusted, and then they ended up winning the game. So, you know, it just happened that they were able to pull it out. Yankees did the same last night. They were playing Boston, and they needed that win, and they got it. But they have to readjust. You have a new pitcher in there. You got to adjust your swing. You got to adjust your stance. You got to adjust your timing. It's the same exact thing in business. We just have to learn to adapt to it. So anyway, yeah, Daniel says he loves the pay-per-click game. It is a game. The thing is, though, it's a game that you can win and you can lose. Okay, so hopefully we can win more than we lose, but we also learn. So whenever I lose, I don't look at it as losing. I look at it as a learning experience to help me do better the next time. So that's what I'm going to wrap up with, guys, is really learning to enjoy the process and learning to almost turn it into a game in a sense, to where it's all winnable. We just have to go out there and just figure out the next move. And that's what I'm going to wrap up with. So, Chris, you want to wrap up with anything?
I think you nailed it. I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to try.
And the sun is back out. Yes! Yes!
So you're winning
at the game shining.
Today. That's how that works. You're winning at the game today.
Can you see it reflecting off my hands? Woo! That is nice. Yes. I'll be right there, son. I'm going to come out and see you. All right.
Hey.
Yeah, right. Hey, Dom, hey, really quickly, and guys, if you guys want to leave, you guys can leave really quickly. But Dom, did you see the video I posted of us doing our DAP handshake?
No, I didn't see it.
I posted it on Instagram, and it's literally like 5 seconds. And Chris, I gotta have you I think I seen Joel
has the full video, I think.
Oh, I need the full video, man. That's got to make it to my inbox. I want that.
You can see him in the background being real creepy.
He was, too. So, anyway, if you guys are listening right now or still watching, we did this little handshake that my son was teaching me, and we were trying to be hip and cool, and I was teaching it to Dom, and it wasn't going so well at first. But I think we got it. We got it.
Yeah, but I said to you, I'm going to have to practice it before I see you again soon, because I'm going to totally forget it. And then he started getting Strutwa to do it. He even did a worse job.
Oh, he did. He was very, very strict. He was very, it was really rough.
He wasn't doing this like me, though.
No, you were pulling back. All right, let's wrap it up. That's a good one. We got Dom to laugh. We got it. We're good now. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. We're back to normal. Everything's good.
All right, cool. So let's wrap it up, Chris. If you want to end this, guys, have an awesome, amazing weekend. We'll see you guys next week, and keep at it. Don't get yourself down. If you get down, come on over to the Facebook group. Get yourself picked up. We'll be there. And just remember, we're always rooting for you, all right? So take care, and as always, take action. We'll see you guys.